Hey guys, this is episode 18 of eSports Edition, and I want to start this segment off with a story because about 2 weeks ago, a reporter from Forbes randomly called me and asked for my take on some numbers that Nielsen posted about engaging US esports fans. And I hadn't seen the article, so I had to take a quick 10-second look and give him a quote, which turned out pretty good for me because I got a quote in my name mentioned in Forbes. Personal plug, yay. But it didn't give me a chance to really digest the data. And I think the numbers and their context show a lot about how we're seeing brands and external companies get involved in the world of competitive gaming. The first thing that stood out to me was the fact that they did a pretty good job of categorizing top reasons for esports engagement, like learning tips and tricks from the pros, becoming a better gamer, etc. And then you look down in the article with the data, and there's like the measurement of the typical brand activities, and none of them matched with the top reasons for engagement. In other words, they basically said that esports fans are involved in watching esports events for one set of reasons, and then brands are trying to engage them literally for an entirely different set. But that's part of the course, because I think there's a real misunderstanding from those outside of competitive gaming about what esports is. And esports is similar to traditional sports, but it's not a traditional sport through and through. There are a whole host of elements that don't apply to physical sports that if you ignore, you miss the big picture. The second point is it's along those lines, missing the big picture, because I think that brands are at a point, non-endemic brands are at a point where they're looking for that, what I call that productization of esports, and it doesn't exist. And there are a lot of detractors in the community that say we don't want it to be productized. We want it to be raw. We want it to be real. We want it to be what it's always been. And I'm kind of caught between those two, because I can see the groundswell outside the space, and I know that commercialization is coming. And I think the challenge is making sure it happens in a healthy, positive way. But brands still want it to be like professional sports, in that they want that shiny object that they can grab a hold of and say, hey, look, here's my way of getting, extracting that derived value without really touching what it is. And that's what professional sports league exists to do. They exist to provide that shiny objectification of the raw nature of sport. And up to this point, esports doesn't have that, and brands are looking for that, and they can't find it. And they're going to have to really understand, if they want to be involved right now and they want to get in at this point in time, you've got to drop that expectation. And you got to understand what drives the phenomenon that is esports. And that's not really happening. And the third point for me is how the numbers for esports engagement didn't match the brand activity. You have data that says, oh, look, typically individuals are engaged with esports because they see it not from just that spectator element, but because they see themselves as a participant, as a gamer. And it's an extension of their own experience as a gamer of typically that same game title that they're watching played at its highest level. Well, where's the brand activity around enabling that? I mean, it's not that difficult, but it just goes to show you the how far apart these two worlds are, and hopefully we'll see these be bridged. And what we do at Intiva Group is to try to help that happen. I'm a gamer myself, and I know that a lot of times when you're talking to people who they never gamed, they didn't grow up in a generation that they were exposed to gaming as a viable form of entertainment, as a competitive outlet, don't get it. So there are a lot of steps that need to be, I don't want to say glossed over, but that need to be taken at least to get them to a point where they can even begin to understand why the numbers are what they are, why there are hundreds of millions of people who enjoy watching other people play video games. And part of that is a challenge for people like myself, but I think part of that is a challenge for everyone involved to take a step back and realize that these two worlds are gonna collide. And the best way to have that occur is for an understanding of both sides of the equation. So once again, I'm open to hearing any comments, questions, death threats. Oh, and if anyone's interested, I have a newsletter where I kind of put out some cool little analysis on things, so feel free to sign up for that. But that's all I have for this week. I'll catch you guys around.